Emperor Nefarious, you have returned early from your conquest.
Yes, Emperor!
The AAA 3D platform genre is usually dominated by Nintendo due to their ability to make unique game experiences with their IPs. However, there are some titles out there that manage to capture some of the same success once in a while. These titles do have their own unique styles and somewhat unique formula, even if they are at heart your typical collectathon platformer with some repetitive tasks and a few generic side quests. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is a wonderful action-adventure platformer that starts and ends with epic encounters and set pieces that fit well within a colorful galaxy, developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive. The game rises to glory due to its unique cast of colorful characters, hilarious writing, and fun gameplay.
Mon Dieu, your friend has a saucy tongue. My name is Pierre Lafer, pirate extraordinaire.
I'll fight you for it.
The game starts you off at the beginning of a parade dedicated to commemorate Ratchet & Clank's achievements throughout the galaxy. After a little bit of irony and self-doubt due to our main cast not being involved in anything heroic lately, we press forward with the formalities. This not only serves as the opening sequence of the game, but also as a very clever way to teach the player the basics of combat. This is your basic tutorial after all. The game allows you to discover the different mechanics of melee and gunplay throughout this event. The commentary in the background provided by the support characters also serves as a way to let the player know that this is not about to be a quiet and silent endeavor, as the future banter between characters can be quite entertaining. The overall dialogue in the game made me chuckle more often than not, as I was not expecting this level of comedy from any of its characters. The dialogue alone is one of the most entertaining aspects of the game, as you genuinely become curious to listen to these interactions for the humor behind it.
A bonus? I'm already paying you generously.
Yeah, but like, one guy got dragged through a hole in the ceiling by a crack.
Job's getting dangerous.
Hey, bro, I hear you. I see you. This wasn't in the contract.
I cannot believe this.
Calm down, bro. We'll figure it out. Breathe with me.
Shortly after you're acquainted with the mechanics of the game, you realize this parade is about to get rained on. The game picks up the pace and does not slow down from here on out, at least not throughout the main campaign. After clearing the area of enemies, Ratchet & Clank reach the end of the parade where Clank confesses his love towards Ratchet and offers him the password to his Netflix account.
Ratchet, I do not know where I would be without you. You are my closest friend, my teammate, and you have given up a lot to...
No, pal,
I'm not sure Ratchet feels comfortable with this. However, after Clank repairs a Dimensionator that was supposed to be gifted to Ratchet to travel between dimensions to find his pips, Dr. Nefarious shows up to crash the party and becomes a total douchebag by stealing the Dimensionator. Dr. Doodoohead then uses the Dimensionator to great success by breaking the fourth wall and reminding us all that we no longer get to have cool game manuals.
Can't anyone print instruction manuals anymore?
Without spoiling anything more about the plot, the basic goal is as follows. Ratchet and Clank are two dummies who just gave a powerful tool for dimensional travel to Dr. Doodoohead that does not require batteries to use, as it comes with a USB-C cable for charging. Now they're chasing after Dr. Doodoohead to get the Dimensionator back in order to restore the timelines between dimensions. You all get tossed through dimensions until landing in predetermined areas away from each other, and Dr. Doodoohead landing in another toxic relationship with his other self from another dimension.
And now that you've achieved it, life is meaningless.
What could you possibly know about success, you... That's it.
You can say the story is nothing out of this world, but no biggie, because the game presents it with enough comedic relief that it's entertaining all the way till the end. A little bit more about the stories too. Throughout the game, you will meet and play as Rivet, the female version of Ratchet from this dimension. She is a well-designed and very likable character due to her dialogue and backstory.
Who the heck are you?
Look who it is!
Her development as a character is really interesting to watch, as well as Ratchet's quest to be reunited with Clank. The way the game handles the switching between characters is basic, but it works. You get to travel between worlds, and depending on the story, each character has a designated world dedicated to them for exploration, side quests, and main quests. The world areas are pretty vast and well populated with environmental details and activities to complete. The art direction and color palette of the game go hand in hand, as the neon colors and saturation levels make the character designs pop in every world. Speaking of worlds, the areas in the game are big and full of secrets. They are also varied and give a sense of grandiose scope due to the detailed particle effects and lighting effects in each area that only serve to enhance the epic feel of each environment. The hub areas and menus are fun to watch and explore because of how visually pleasing they are. The support characters have been treated with individual care as well. All of them look and feel as part of this universe and are equally detailed. One of my favorite characters has got to be Mrs. Zircon, who happens to be a very inconspicuous robot lady who works as your weapon shop and is always paranoid.
Oh, apologies, sugar. Miss Zircon is still new to all of this espionage.
She will also close shop if she gets scared by nearby enemies. The game is full of unique and interesting weapons that shake up the gameplay and range from your basic and predictable rocket launcher to these little weird shrooms willing to fight alongside of you. Many other gadgets and weapons await, and every time you acquire something new, it brings a new layer of freshness to the game. Take a look at my skates, for example. Why skates, you ask? Because walking is for pussies. On the topic of gadgets, you and your weird sister from another mister share every and all gadgets acquired, avoiding the tedious chore of having to get the same gadget twice. I don't care if this does not make sense, since they are both on totally different parts of the galaxy most of the time. This convenience saves the player lots of time. The game does this cool thing of showing a short video of what every weapon does before you buy it, and I love it as it helps me prioritize on what I want to get first, and I can pass on some of the weapons I am not that interested in, such as this irrigation system that turns your enemies into a bush. I see. Moving on. The progression system is good in a way that it rewards you for using all of the weapons. It does this by leveling up each weapon after specific amounts of uses. This in turn allows the weapon to be upgraded with special currency acquired throughout the game. There are a lot of things to collect in each area. This is where my first issue with the game arises. The game does an excellent job at keeping things fresh and varied throughout the campaign, as well as keeping the tempo going. However, when you slow down to look at your surroundings and breathe fresh air, you will notice some repetitive tasks. One example of this is collecting so many of one type of item to get one single reward. Many of the same type of side quests can be found in many of the worlds. I found some of the side quests tedious by design and decided to continue with the main campaign for that matter. Thankfully, the game does a great job at keeping the players engaged with enough variety of enemies, encounters, and unique areas to explore in the main campaign in order to avoid stale and repetitive gameplay. If fashion is your thing, this game has got you covered. The suits you can obtain throughout the game not only make you look cool, but they come with an added bonus stat when you wear the whole entire set, and can even be color modified, giving you a little bit more of a personal feel. This might not be Fashion Souls, but it's a well implemented light RPG element. When it comes to the gunplay, the bread and butter of this dish, the mechanics are excellent. The feedback provided by the DualSense controller and responsive actions of the characters with every button press are a match made in heaven. Every weapon makes great use of the haptic feedback by providing a specific type of fire depending on how hard you press the R2 triggers. Pressing the trigger halfway provides one type of fire, and a full press gives you a secondary type. Animations and transitions between actions are fluid and smooth, making the game feel that much more polished. I really can't complain much in the gameplay department, as most of the encounters are fun and can be tackled in different ways with different weapons. The one thing to note here is that even though the bosses in the game are pretty epic, they do not have the same satisfying feedback as the rest of the enemies and feel more bullet spongy than challenging. With that being said, I played the game in a difficulty above normal and felt a comfortable but fun challenge that was missing from all the other difficulties below that. In between battles and other areas, you'll find these broken parts of dimensions that serve as a way to teleport to the specific area in which they are located, called rifts. Just use your grappling lasso thingy and in a very awkward transition animation, you'll be teleported to that location. I'll be very honest and say that I hardly ever used this feature since I could never get used to the mechanic nor the awkward visual transition. I really only used it in a couple of instances where it was very obvious that it needed to be used in order to progress the story. Other than that, thanks but no thanks. I think I'll use my skates. Jumping from platform to platform in the game works most of the time. However, sometimes in some isolated events, the game failed to register a jump or the landing of a jump on a platform. This easily led to my demise and to a point of frustration where if it wasn't because I only owned one PS5 controller at the time, I would have had an extra hole in my wall and one less controller. Even though the platforming is a little wonky at times, the frustrating aspects of it start to become obsolete the further you get into the game as you acquire better gadgets that make traversal easier. There are plenty of activities throughout the game to keep you busy and entertained. However, one of the coolest is the fighting arena, which provides fighting challenges in exchange for rewards. Some of the most challenging battles in the game can be found here, and if you're in need for additional bolts, this is your area to farm for a bit. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is a very special game as it never turns down the action and excitement of its world while it simultaneously develops the main cast of protagonists and antagonists in their own respective and entertaining ways. You'll laugh along the way and might even feel pity for Dr. Doodoo Head since he can't seem to let go of toxicity in exchange for a healthier relationship after being domestically abused by his more nefarious counterpart.
So, to celebrate such a momentous occasion, I'd like to honor the good doctor who inspired this journey in the first place by invading his home dimension personally.
What?
All in all, the game has some frustrating platforming elements, repetitive side quests, and less than stellar boss encounters. However, the combination of all of the other elements with an emphasis on humor, the art direction, animations, color palette, and fun moment-to-moment gameplay overshadows the dark blemishes the game has. And finally, it took me about 12 hours to burn through this game, and it was some of the most enjoyable 12 hours I've had with the game in the past year or so. This game is a must-play for all gamers in general, but specifically for those who love action platformers. And that is a quick rundown of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Okay, bye.